This is C.R.P.H.A. Humanitarian Advocate. This time I'm standing up, as you can tell. I'm going to move this back a bit. The basic fact is, the reason why I'm standing up right now is simply to explain one particular thing to start with. Okay, on the bottom of the description of the video that I did today, about I'd say now a half hour ago, on this day being Monday, the day after Father's Day, I put a description of what I meant on the, a little bit of a percentage of what I meant on the online situation. If you destroy or vandalize public, private properties, even commercialized properties, which is basically both public and private. Do you think that's what that flag stands for, though? Do you think what the Constitution stands for is to do that? The basic fact is that I'm not against people at all. Okay, um, as I've said in each one of the C.R.P.H.A. videos, is that I'm 100% behind the Constitution, which basically states we have a constitutional right to protest. But as I said in the video before this one, is that we don't have a right to, even constitutionally as well, we don't have a right to vandalize or damage or destroy public, commercialized, or public and private properties, even in the commercialized sense. Okay? The basic fact is that when it comes to the online thing, here's another part of the statement I put on the description of the video I did earlier today. Picture this. You damaged, and maybe a number of other people in that same grouping of the protest and demonstration, basically the same thing. And maybe it's because it's usually combined with a demonstration as well as a protest at times. The basic fact is that you damage commercialized property, which is both public and private, half and half. Your rights are cut in half as well, and depending on the violation, it can be pretty extravagant. Okay, that flag supports the protest as well, but it doesn't support destroying public and private and even commercialized properties that are both, again, public as well as private. I know that each and every one of us do want to express ourselves in the most way that we would want to have the most attention. There's ways to get attention, but there's also ways to get attention in the wrong way as well. There's a right way and there's a wrong way with practically almost everything, if not completely everything. The basic fact is that that flag supports your protest as well as the Constitution, but it does not support. Old Glory does not support your destroying and breaking glass that's of a public and private, being commercialized as well, all in one, half and half, right? Or even public be that parks and recreation centers and such like that. And private properties, be that of residential or whatever the hell else, right? It doesn't support damaging or destructive aspects and actions to prove a point or to voice your anger, frustration, what have you. But it's always better to do the positive. In a spiritual sense, and yes, I'm a spiritual person, as well as a very caring constitutional person as well. I mean, because I do back the Constitution, and I support and I would stand alongside that flag every time. But the one thing is also, in a spiritual sense, think about this. Do you think that if Heavenly Father was your actual father, which basically he is spiritually, but say he was in a mortal sense, do you think he'd punish you? And I know this is unusual for an advocate to bring that up, but the basic fact is that destroying things doesn't prove anything, even if you're an adult. Destroying things or breaking things, especially, doesn't prove a damn thing, no matter what age you are. Even if it is a mistake, but in the protests and demonstrations, it's always to prove your anger, dismay, frustrations, and such like that, right? Wrong way to do it, though. Again, I support the protest because it's within the Constitution. But what's not again in the Constitution is what's not in the Constitution is to destroy public and private properties, as well as public and private all in one, which is generally commercialized and office type structured buildings like windows and such like that, and other things even within the building itself. Even and also you're cutting your rights down even more in the sense of doing what I mentioned earlier on the video I did earlier of what's known as the 5 finger discount, where you just take anything you want, like they did in Rodney King after the Rodney King verdict in the 1990s. That wasn't right either. Their rights were cut down exponentially. With the online situation, though, think about this. Those who do use the online shopping and purchasing and are usually there's a percentage of those people who do that same thing as anybody else would that has the means to, not only financially but otherwise. I know a percentage of those people are the ones that would go into a protest and damage things to show their frustrations and dismay and what have you else. But when even if there's a percentage, I'm not going to say the percentage because it could change every time. It's not really a steady percentage. But the basic fact is, you could easily say is that fingerprints are not on the damaged property and fixture or what have you else. Your rights are cut down, and that's not a good thing. But when you also do that spiritually, you sin. It doesn't. You don't have. You can be an atheist all you want. You can be a non-church goer. You don't have to go to church that much, and you don't have to be religious. Heavenly Father himself would still consider that a sin. Thereby he would judge you on it. I'm not trying to act like a parent or nothing. I just felt like making this video to explain the online part of what I mentioned on the description of the video of the first video I did today on Monday, a day after Father's Day, which was on a Sunday. Now, nobody likes I know nobody would want their rights to be taken away. Nobody would want their freedoms to be taken away, or even cut to any percentage. Even if they were the one to be blamed for doing so, for damaging or destroying any particular type of property for any given reason. It doesn't really matter. But the one thing is, you can either wait and then get a knock at the door by government and city, county officials known as your friendly neighborhood police department. They take you into downtown, question your ass left and right, up, down, the whole enchilada there. Even if they don't have you on videotape, it can happen. But if they know that you were in the mix of that crowd of the protest / demonstration, believe me, they will question you 10 times from Sunday, as the old saying goes as well. And guaranteed they won't tell you if they got a conclusive evidence of you being the perpetrator of damaging whatever number of items or private property, fixtures, or what have you else, right? They won't tell you. Of me telling you this, not very many people know this, but I do know this. And nobody wants their rights to be taken away. Nobody wants their freedoms to be taken away. But if you are questioned and held in there and put into points of jail or prison for any given length of time, it varies on the offense, and the level of the offense and the crime in general, both actually. Now I'm telling you this because I care about everybody, and I don't want anybody to have any records that can easily be more than detriment to you and your future, employment and otherwise. Basic fact is also, we are all human beings. We all have ways of expressing ourselves. I understand that. And I support that. Even as an advocate, I support that. But there's many ways to express ourselves without damaging, destroying public and private, being commercialized things as well as public, being, like parks, recreational buildings and such like that, and private as well as residential, various other things like that, right? On type of properties and whatever's on the property. Thereby, we wouldn't want that to happen to us or our properties, right? So why do it to others? Not logical, is it? Everybody deserves to be respected. Everybody deserves to be considered. even more than considerate at times. Everybody deserves to be heard, but there's a wrong way and a right way. If you want to be respected, considered, have full base of any level of consideration and respect as well, and if you want to be heard on any given level in reason, there's ways to do it without destroying public/private properties. When I say public/private, that means commercialized. Okay. When I say public, I mean it could be recreation center, windows, door glass, vehicles and such like that, right? And also inside the buildings as well. And when I say private, it could be home fixtures, windows, doors, the whole enchilada there too. If we don't want it to be done to us and to our things, it's more than logical to not do it to others. Regardless, there's ways to express ourselves without destroying anything for any given reason. We can voice our dismay, frustration, anger, hate, whatever the hell else, towards the government especially, without destroying a damn thing. Like I said, that flag would support you on that. Without destroying a damn thing, though. The Constitution would support you on that without destroying a damn thing. I, as an advocate, would support you on that without destroying a damn thing. Every advocate that has any common sense up here to start with would support you without destroying a damn thing, right? As long as you don't destroy a damn thing, that is. I know I don't normally do 2 videos in one day, but I thought I would, because I felt that I really needed to clarify various numbers of things, and also to help you understand my whole side of it. But the one thing is also is that, believe me, the old glory and the Constitution of we the people will always support you, but it won't support you in the sense of destroying public/private properties and fixtures and such like that, and even things attached to the buildings, such as windows and such like that. Now, the other part of it is, though, too, is that a number of you may already have records from your youth, but the basic fact is that even if you do, you don't want to build that record into a much more serious, deeper offense if you do have records already. It doesn't matter what the reason was, because, of course, that would have been the past, right? Think about it, though. Say, for example, you do have a record already due to what you did, what you were accused of, or what people claim that you did, that you may have done, but you denied it full-heartedly for any given reason, but they put you as the accused, right? then you may have served some time in juvie or in jail for a certain length of time, because laws do change over a number of years, each different year, of course, even per offenses as well. Um, and also, it's gotten even more to where even teenagers can be treated legally as adults, in the sense of the offense will go as heavy as it does to an actual adult towards a teenager. It can do that. They can do that if it is put even through the judicial system. And believe me, you don't want to go through the system for any given reason, because they can tear your future apart. Thereby, you'd be working your ass off to put it back together. I'm not saying it's torn apart to points of no no way of rectifying it. But I believe, and I've always believed this ever since I was even yay tall, and when I was very little special. I've always believed that everybody, of course, when I was much younger, I didn't understand it myself fully. But when I got older, I started going to the points of understanding, more and more. But the one thing is that I've, as I got older, I believe that everybody deserves to have a bright future. Everybody deserves to have many positive things happen for them and to them. And many people try to get things to happen to and for them as they do other people wrong. That's a sin. And that's also wrong. You will also be judged before you even enter the next life. Spiritually, if you're not put through the system while in this life for that wrongdoing, you will be put through the ringer in a way after judgment in the next before you even enter the next life. And I'm going from mortal to spiritual here on that one. It will happen even if you have committed numerous numbers of sins. It doesn't matter what it was. Even the things that the Bible says that it's against. When it comes to adultery, when it comes to murder, when it comes to any number of other things. And believe me, you know me now to be a spiritual person. I've told you even in my my later videos that I am a spiritual person. But I am also a caring person who cares about every one of you in the U.S. I even care about our allies and their citizens. But even our allies' citizens want the same things that we American people more than at times take for granted. And we don't even realize that we're taking things that we are given in accordance to what that flag stands for and in accordance to the Constitution. There's many things we take too much for granted. We may not mean to. Hey, that's okay. And that's understandable. Believe me, it is. Even Heavenly Father Himself would understand that. He wouldn't put anything against you, nor would I. But there's many things we do take for granted that we shouldn't. We even take ourselves as well as our loved ones for granted, and those who we do and do not know, and the ones that do and do not know us, for various different reasons, to either to benefit us in some way, but the way if we take other people for granted while we try to reach for that, not a good way to do it. Uh-huh. And I'm not being judgmental here. I'm being honest. Even if it sounds like a judgment, trust me, I'm not. I'm not meaning it in that sense. I'm not meaning it in a judgmental sense, though. But it stands to reason, though, that each and everything that this flag has gone through, and what it stands for, and what it has stand for even before 1776, before it was declared this country's symbol, even after after Betsy Ross was gradually creating it increment by increment by increment by increment by increment. Each one of these each one of these stripes right here to start with have been stated to be the uniform and the blood, sweat, and tears of every person that fought for this country and defended our rights and freedoms. Even from the Revolutionary War all the way through, and it still stands up. The sea of blue for the Navy. The stars right there for all the 50 states, right? And like I said, the white could be the uniform, and the blood could be the blood, sweat, and tears, all in one. And all for our rights and freedoms, and all for us. And that's another thing we take for granted, though. We may not take it for granted all the time, but there are times in our lives that we do, and we don't realize it or even acknowledge it. Basic fact is that the more we take things for granted, then we're not really doing any better for ourselves by doing that now, are we? We're not doing anything better for anybody by by doing that. When we take people for granted, it's the same thing. We're not doing them any special favors or anything positive. We're not doing ourselves anything positive, even if it is to benefit us. But if we take a person for granted while we try to benefit ourselves along the way, I mean to point out first, but the basic fact is he will judge us. And trust me, you don't want that. Yes, we're going to be going through judgment nonetheless, spiritually. Okay. Once we leave this life spiritually, once we leave this life spiritually, we will go into the basic judgment. No question about it. No ifs, ands, or buts. No, there's no passcode. We don't collect $200 or nothing like that, right? Like the old Monopoly aspect. But we will be judged for the things that we have done wrong, and the things that and maybe it could be a percentage of what we did right could also be. Just like to maybe to a moderate percentage, most of what we do wrong is mentioned in courts in the judicial system, and very rarely, if not more than seldomly, what we do right is not always mentioned, if hardly at all. And if it is, hey, good, right? Hey, as the phones would say. But the basic fact is what I say is the truth. As I've said in each one of my videos of C.R.P.H.A, I speak the truth. I voice things in my own way, even to my own understanding and whatnot else, even if it is not to anybody else's understanding of things, or even belief systems or whatever the hell else, right? But at least you understand my side of it. It could be the same thing in a different sense, in a different understanding, or a different level of understanding, especially for others. But nonetheless, each one of us understands things at a different level, different ways, and what have you else. And also, when it comes to this flag right here, Old Glory, in who in this flag has gone through hell, even with the 13 stars before the 50 stars. Even with these stripes, wouldn't have had the 13 stars in the circular form, as it's shown in history books. I'm like you, and you are like me, in the sense that we don't want our rights and freedoms to be taken away. In the sense that we deserve a lot of positive things to happen for us and to us, even around us. And of course, not all the time things happen around us that are positive. We all understand that in our own way. But the basic fact is that we don't want to contribute to the negative, wrongful actions that happen around us. We want to contribute to the things that we could do to better things. That's why I'm advocating. That's one of the reasons why I am advocating in my own way. That's why I go out there whenever, and if there's something I want to talk about on the videos like I have, even of what I notice out there, believe me, I'll say it. I'll talk about it. Even if I notice something on an online post on Facebook or Instagram for that matter, or on the media, as you well know. Believe me, I will inform you more than what the media is allowed to, in accordance to the contract by the FCC and with the FCC. It's true that if I had a contract with the FCC, I'd be able to I'd be in the same constraint, legible, legal constraint as the media is. But I'm not. Thereby, I would tell you way more than the media is able to tell you, but into my own understanding. Thereby, it would gradually form into your understanding. And it's been that since 2000. It's been like that since 2004, even when I first started out advocating, which was in 2004. And the reason is I want things to be better, not only for you, not only for myself, not only for the people out there that probably aren't watching this video, but also for our youth, for the youth in the next century, in the next year, the next year, the next year, the next year, the years even before this year, before 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 and after 2020. But one thing though, and this goes within the legal aspect as well as the spiritual aspect, in order to keep our future bright, we got to do things not only for ourselves, but also to help better things for other people. As long as they don't go to the points of taking advantage of us, and as long as we don't take advantage of others to benefit us. Because like I said, spiritually, I'm a strong spiritual person. I know for a fact that the things that we do, if we take advantage of a person to benefit ourselves and our futures, we'll be judged for it. And even before we're even allowed to go into the next life. That is after our time is up on this planet. We're not like Q from the Continuum on Star Trek TNG, where he's able to live a life that has no demise, or like Commander Data from Star Trek TNG, where he's able to live as long as his um, positronic systems and what have you else is able to allow him to, which is a hell of a lot longer still, just like the Q continuum on Star Trek TNG, a hell of a lot longer than regular human beings. Many people say that also of the superhuman aspect, to bet and to create a genome of human beings that are smarter, stronger, and all this other shit. They may be smarter and stronger, but the one thing is that that's like playing gods. We don't have any justification or right to do that, or even to play God for any given reason. On the creating the superhuman genome effect, if you will. There's many other ways to put it in that way, but that's one way I'm thinking it. The way I can figure to explain it, express it, whatever. But anyway, but but the basic fact is that on this whole thing is what I mentioned. The online, the more you do good, your privileges and rights will be enlightened, heightened, just like anybody else's, and protected, just like anybody else's. You do things that would put you in some legal trouble, your rights and privileges sink like the Titanic. But it wouldn't go down as quick as the Titanic did after all things were filled in with the Titanic. Inside the Titanic, that is. It would be like just quicksand, in another way of putting it. You don't want that. You want things to go up, right? Now that's the thing right there. Is that in order to keep things at a steady rising pace, always do things that are beneficial for us, without taking advantage of other people to benefit us, without destroying and damaging and defacing public, private, and public, or even private properties separately. Then, if we don't do any of that negative crap, then guess what? Our rights and freedoms are going to go up to a gradual point. The more we do right, the more privileges and rights we have, and we'll get, essentially. But the basic fact is that we won't be going to. We won't go. It won't go to where we're questioned as if we're the guilty party. If anything were to be, if say for example, if someone suspects a certain person that may look like you, because there's a number of people that do, and that may have maybe similar features. The one thing is, it doesn't mean it's directly you. They can look, they can question you till the break of dawn, and you'd still be. There's a good chance you'd still be free and clear. But the one thing is, that's only that's only if you are not the one that did the thing that they're questioning you on. Or they may even ask you questions about somebody if you know a certain person. That part doesn't phase you one way or the other unless you're in some way or level an accomplice, like withholding information that you may know about one particular person that they are looking for or wanting to talk to, and and possibly arrest in more than question. The basic fact is that your rights and freedoms would be put in question if you were to um, know something about somebody that did something, and you know of it, and yet you deny it full-heartedly as much as you think you can get away with. Believe me, they will catch on, and your future can be cut to a percentage. And again, it varies. But if you are honest, full-heartedly honest with them, and to the points to where you check out to be clean, the whole enchilada, right? Your rights and freedoms are unaffected and secure. Same thing when it comes to the online thing. You do things that are positive, your rights and freedoms in the sense of the online, your privilege is more than a privilege and it's more than a right. Of the As long as you don't as long as you don't abuse it, even on the online sales. Say for example, if you were to also try to sell something, and you put a price on there, and the person sends you a check, then you change the price, right? You can't do that. Yeah, I mean you could, but it would be dishonest. That would mean one, you would have to send back the check on money order or cashier's check back to the person. Because if you did the dishonest thing of keeping it for yourself, and yet the person didn't get the item that they sent the money for in any form, then you're going to be in question. That's where your rights and freedoms can be cut short as well on the online aspect. But when it comes to you shopping in the way of you shopping online, purchasing things online, your rights and freedoms are protected. But believe me, you do things that are wrong, the online thing only becomes a privilege, not a full right. And not very many people look at it that way. And I know a number of people may disagree with me. That's fine. That's fine. But the basic fact is, I'm looking at it in the legal as well as spiritual as well as constitutional. I look at things differently. You may look at things way different than I do. Okay, that's understandable. But the basic fact is that the way I'm looking at it is also by by different state laws may have the same view as I do to a point. I may even word things later on differently than I have ever, even of this particular topic. But the basic fact is that No matter what the topic of discussion, I will still defend your rights and freedoms, and I will still continuously inform you of what the liberal Democrats are doing and have been doing, which is against your rights and freedoms. And if you agree with me and if you believe me, cool. If you don't, and if you say no, Meet the Press is right and NPR is right and you're wrong, right? That's your right. I will still support that. But the basic fact is, think about this. When Obama was in office and Biden was chosen, he was well respected then, before he was even chosen to be Obama's VP. He's not that well respected anymore. As I mentioned before, is that Biden basically just sat back, let Obama do whatever the fuck Obama wanted to do. He he had the power to and the ability and know-how to make sure that the economy stepped and kept on going up. But he just sat back and just let things happen as they happened. And as Obama did what he felt like he wanted to do, which 100%, even more than 100% of the time, it did not benefit this country in any positive way. It did not benefit the economy in a positive way. And yet, I know there's been many records fucking redone to look like it was a positive when really it wasn't. Obama's raised the debt ceiling in 2 terms. And and none of those actions benefited the American people or our youth or the economy or this country's budget. Biden will repeat the same shit again, but maybe in a different manner. Maybe in a way that you may not even realize. The Democrats have been able to do things in the sense of having people believe shit that they don't really intend to really do. Case in point, Obama. Case in point, Carter. Case in point, Hillary Clinton. That is Hillary Rodham Clinton. If you remember that even when Hillary was about to run for president against Donald Trump, before, while she was Secretary of State in the Obama administration, she used a government computer and went online in another country that was not protected. We didn't have any grid to protect the online activity while in a country outside the U.S. That country could have easily hacked into that computer without even one little sign, and our country's secrets and military aspects would have been found out like that within a few keystrokes or so. She got questioned about it. She denied it full-heartedly without without provocation or anything like that, right? But the basic fact is that I thank Heavenly Father that the American people saw her bullshit. Plus, on top of that, get this: there was a statement saying essentially that she was going to take out the Fourth Amendment. No president, I don't care if you're man, woman, or cat, dog. It doesn't fucking matter. You don't fuck with the Constitution. You fuck with the Constitution, you will fuck with me. You fuck with the Constitution, you mess with Heavenly Father and our forefathers. Believe me, our forefathers would have turned on their graves more than once if she fucked with the Constitution. Now, I'm gonna put this straight up here too, and I'm being honest and being friend. I'm very caring and everything, and even in support of the country and this flag and the Constitution. That you will join me in voting for Donald J. Trump because he has done many things positive for this country, even with the fact that even while he was in office on his first term, the illogical actions done by Schumer and Pelosi and wasting taxpayers' time and money by putting Trump through hell in the impeachment process, the impeachment inquiries. And basically, they had no real proof and justification to do so because he didn't do one thing wrong, not one thing. They just wanted to act. They wanted to use it like a soap opera, like the Young and the Restless as world turns type of bullshit drama shit. Just so they can try to sway the American people. What the liberal Democrats did instead, and even Meet the Press dumbass host wouldn't even admit to this, is that they made it even harder for the liberal Democrats to be ever in the White House. And made it much easier for Donald J. Trump to be back in office even in 2020. To be the one to be re-elected, re-voted in essentially to into the White House of President Commander in Chief for 2020. But even after that though, by doing that to a person that didn't do one fucking thing against the Constitution, even during and after such, Nancy Pelosi started quoting the Constitution as if she knew it when she doesn't. She just misquoted it every chance she got practically. And trying to make the people believe, oh, this is what the Constitution states and what it means. And this, oh, fuck off, Nancy Pelosi. You don't know shit. You're only a senile little bitch, man. The basic fact is, I know that's the first time anybody's seen me, an advocate, flip off Nancy Pelosi. But the basic fact is, the one thing is, I don't like dishonest people. The dishonest people are dealt with by Heavenly Father, not by me. The dishonest people are also dealt by the city, state, and county laws, even federal laws, and government laws. Now, I'm going to tell you straight up. My father, as a Marine, and I know many people heard me say this on one of my other videos, my father, as a Marine, fought for what this flag stands for and what have you else, and what the Constitution stands for, and for our rights and freedoms. Many people before him, before my father, and even after my father, did the same thing. I salute them and I thank them for their service. Even for the ones that died while fighting for our freedoms and rights and protection and defense of this country and the American people and more. And those who died were not able to come back to be with their families. And even for the homeless veterans that served this country. I salute you and I thank you for your service. I will always stand by this flag. I will always support what this flag stands for and what the Constitution stands for. Many advocates may say it, but yet eventually you may see, I'm not going to say it without, I'm not going to go to the points, but there are people that say a lot of shit, but yet they go the other way. I won't do that. It may seem like it in some judgmental way from other people, but the one thing is, I don't judge you, so I ask that you don't judge me. Simple, spiritual, honest, and positively leveled, straightforward face. If you have any questions on anything, but know this though, I still stand on the aspect that if the Meet the Press dumbass, the host of Meet the Press, or even NPR radio wants to talk with me, even if the people who face the nation want to talk with me, I'm right here. Let me know. We can even talk inside the Capitol in California. I'm not going to say I'm in California. I'm not going to say where I'm at. So that's my God-given right, even constitutional right. I don't need to say where I'm at. But the basic fact is, if you want to talk with me, there's ways to let me know. There's positive ways to let me know. This is C.R.P.H.A, Humanitarian Advocate. I will vote for Trump again and Mike Pence again, and I thank them for their service in the White House. Have a good day, ladies and gentlemen.